The guest is Dr. Smith, who is the former chancellor of the Tennessee Board of Regents, as well as a candidate for the governorship of the state of Tennessee. Dr. Smith, during this last segment, I think that one thing has been on all of our minds, and that has been September the 11th. And I think that it's hard for us to deny that we are, in a real sense, at war. And as a candidate for the gubernatorial position in the state of Tennessee, I'm sure that you've had some thoughts in terms of what our situation is and what we ought to do and what ought to be the response of state government to this radical change in the general situation. Let's talk about that during the last segment of this program.
Okay. Dr. Haney, I really think words are inadequate to describe what a great tragedy that was for our country and for the world, because I think we've been thrown into uncharted waters. And there's a lot of uncertainty about what the future will hold. Each day brings a new surprise. And I think what it means for anyone who's running for governor is that the job description has changed with what happened on September the 11th, because things that have been on the back burner for many years have suddenly been thrust forward. And if you look at all of the agencies of state government that are involved in what you have to do to be sure that our people are as secure as we can make them, and that everything is in place to protect our borders. And you're talking about things like the TBI and TEMA and all of the National Guard units that are in this state, and all the emergency rescue units that are here, the firemen and the policemen. Previous governors up until this point, obviously, these were not the front burner issues, but on September 11th, they moved forward. And I think we've all seen, the mayor of New York and the president of the United States, how important it's been for the two of them to rise and step up, and I think they've done a tremendous job of providing the kind of leadership that you need in this time of trouble. And so I think the job description of the current governor and any future governor clearly has been changed by what happened on September the 11th. One of the things I think the people of Tennessee deserve and want is a leader who is strong enough to take the decisive actions that are going to have to be taken to ensure that there is security. I think at the same time, the people want a governor who can inspire confidence, who can communicate in a way that would give people comfort in the way that the mayor of New York and the president of the United States have done. That kind of expectation wouldn't have been there before the 11th. But I don't believe there's a person living today who's not concerned about what tomorrow will bring. And we have to be sure we're ready, and we have to look at new ways of structuring some of these units that are out there that are going to be on the front line. And I think we also have to recognize that policemen and firemen, along with teachers, are the three groups of professionals who I think are the unsung heroes of our society. They do a lot of important work for us. They're not treated with the respect that they should be treated. They're not rewarded with pay the way that they should be. I think we have to refocus that discussion and recognize if there was any good that came out of September the 11th, I think it did raise the people's awareness of the critical role that firemen and policemen play in our society. And I think it's incumbent upon the leader, whether that be the governor or the president or the mayor or whoever it is to be sure that we bring those people to the forefront, that we bring the National Guard and TEMA and the TBI, that we get, and the Capitol Police and all of the different ones who are involved. We're going to have to give them more attention. We're going to have to give them more resources. We're going to have to give them more respect, because they're going to be the ones who will determine whether or not the people of Tennessee are secure.
And so, Dr. Smith, over the last couple of minutes that we have here, let's look at the voter participation and what you'd like to say over the last couple of minutes to the potential voters out there. What are some of the things that you'd like to leave them with this morning?
Well, I think, first of all, that all of us as Americans have to be concerned about the gradually declining numbers and percentages of people who vote. I'm particularly concerned about how few young people today are taking advantage of that right to vote. We need to be sure that we energize them, and I think one way you energize them is hopefully through your campaign, that you can be the candidate who can inspire confidence, a candidate that the people can be proud of, a candidate that will be respected, a candidate, if you happen to be a Democrat, I think one thing that would be very good for a Democratic voter is to know that the candidate who is running is somebody that you are not just for, but you're excited about and you're emotional about, and you want to see that person win because you know that that person once in office is going to be able to do what will help the people of Tennessee. And that's what my campaign is going to be about. I've learned by watching elections over many years, doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican, winning in August is not what's important. Winning in November is the ultimate victory. If you don't win in November, everything else is for naught.
Very good. And Dr. Smith, let me thank you over the last minute that we have here for coming by and giving us that excellent information about your campaign and some of the additional information that you've given us. As we said before, we were so excited about your statements on higher education in Tennessee. And I think at that time we promised that if we had a chance that we would invite you back to talk about the gubernatorial situation. And we're glad that you were able to accept our invitation, and we thank you for coming and being with us. And of course, let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.